Good evening and welcome back to the Man's Bar, still conveniently located underneath the Man's Kitchen. And tonight, by viewer request, we're going to do a whiskey from Tennessee. And I'll tell you what it's called right after this. And we're back. Before I continue on, if you like this channel, please hit the subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like icon. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, that way you can get cool pictures and behind the scenes updates when I post new videos. Now that that's out of the way, let's get to today's whiskey. We're doing, by request, Jack Daniels. Now this is a very popular whiskey. And for those of you still learning about whiskey, no, it's not a bourbon. It's close to a bourbon. In fact, every step that makes a whiskey a bourbon, boom, 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 Jack follows. But why isn't it a bourbon? It's that last step. They add one. It goes through an extra filtration process at the end, supposedly to make it smoother. Well, I guess we'll be the judge of that tonight. Now, Jack Daniels is also famous. There was actually a bar in the town where I went to college called Jack's. They had a big sign outside that says, "Jack lives here." So Jack Daniels can be used as a marketing tool because they are famous. It's probably the most famous American whiskey. Now we're going to do our 3 tastings like normal. And I'll let you know what I think of it. Oh, and it's made in a dry county. That's kind of funny. Alright, we have our On the Rocks. It's more mellow. Ooh. But no, it's not bad. It's just, I'm just getting a little bit of the, it's alcohol-y. You can really taste it on the back end. It's supposedly more mellow. And it does ring in at 40% alcohol, making it less alcoholic than its bourbon counterparts. By comparison, we have down here, we have the 40 Creek bourbon from last year, which is 43% alcohol. And I believe the Maker's Mark that we did the 2-3 weeks ago is actually the least alcoholic bourbon at 42.5%. So the Jack Daniels is not strong enough to hang out with the bourbons, but only by a couple percentage points. However, I can really taste the alcohol on the back end. So we're going to save this, see how it tastes when it opens up in a few minutes, and we're going to move on to as a pop mixer. Alright, I have my Jack and Coke, which is a famous drink. In fact, it is so famous that Jack Daniels, you can buy it at the store in pop cans, already mixed with pop. So you can get a 6-pack of Jack and Cokes. That's how famous Jack and Coke is. That's really good. That's smooth. So the Jack actually complements the flavors of the pop, the caramely of the pop that you're going to get. Jack complements it very well. You just get a little bit of whiskey flavor at the back, but it's actually quite good. Alright, now we're going to mix up a cocktail with it. And we're back. I just mixed up a Manhattan using Jack Daniels. Now there is actually a variation on this called the Gentleman's Manhattan. I believe that there's a gentleman's edition of Jack Daniels, and that is what's used in the Gentleman's Manhattan. The bitters are coming through. The bitters and the vermouth are coming through. They're more forward on the nose. It's not bad. If Jack was all that was available, I definitely wouldn't pass on it. I wouldn't say no thank you. I'll have some water instead. I'd definitely have a Jack Daniels made Manhattan. I'm not quite sure though that I can drink these all night long. It's such a famous beverage. I don't want to say anything bad about it, but it's really not meant for this. And again, the only reason I did this was for comparison's sake, to compare it along with the other whiskeys. I feel that it's important that if maybe you're not going to be stocking a full whiskey bar at home, if you want to have a couple whiskeys, you know, that you can have a good drinking whiskey, a good pop whiskey, a good cocktail whiskey, it's good to find out which ones are better for which purposes, so you can stock up on the ones you're going to use the most and just have one or two bottles of the other. The Jack Daniels is not necessarily something I would use as a cocktail mixer, at least in a Manhattan. Now, let's go back to the opened up Jack now. That is not bad. It's not great. I'm not going to sit here and tell you this is the best drink I've ever had. It's not the worst drink I've ever had. It's very middle of the road. It's not offensive. It's something you can just give somebody. But, and it might be the cold that I have. I can't really put any disdainable notes, any specific flavors. I'm not really picking up any toffees or anything, but actually a hint of caramel. I'm rubbing my tongue against the roof of my mouth. I definitely say I'm getting a hint of caramel. Alright, so I'll take you to the scorecard and see how this compares up to the other whiskeys. Alright, so you can see that Jack Daniels sits down in second last place, and it's actually tied in that position with the Jameson Irish whiskey, both of them scoring in at 6.17. Now you'll see that Jack Daniels comes in at 6.5 out of 10 on the rocks. There is nothing remarkable about it, and there is nothing horribly offensive about it either. You'll see an 8 out of 10 as a pop mixer, where it comes as a tie in first place with that category with Old Forester. Now Jack Daniels is a little bit weaker than Old Forester, but remember, Jack and Coke is that classic combination. You can always have a bottle of Jack around the house for company. Christmas parties, New Year's Eve parties, they'll love it. Finally, as a cocktail mixer, at least in the Manhattan category, it sucked. I gave it a 4 out of 10. This was so far the only whiskey I don't really like to make as a Manhattan. Maybe you've got some better Jack Daniels cocktails you'd like me to try. I'd be willing to do a whole video of Jack Daniels cocktails if you can fill the comment sections with some. And again, that brings us back to the overall score of 6.17. Or, I guess if you're rounding it, you can say a 62 out of 100. Alright, so you've just seen my review for Jack Daniels. You know how I've scored it. You know that there will always be a bottle of this in my bar, because Jack and Coke is an undeniable fan favorite that you can always pass out at Christmas and New Year's Eve parties. On the rocks, not so bad, but I would avoid it at least as a Manhattan mixer. although I reserve the right to change my opinion when I try the gentleman's jack. If that is an actual thing. I think it is. But we'll find out. Alright, well, thanks for joining me in the man's bar underneath the man's kitchen. And if you like this video, please click the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button and ding the bell icon so YouTube gives you notifications when I post new videos.